Hello, warriors. Welcome to the You Movement. I am B. And today, I can't believe I'm doing this video, but I am. Today, I am celebrating 3 years celibate. And I wanted to talk about that because it does interconnect with spiritual awakenings. They seem to go together for a lot of people. And I'm not saying this is for everybody, but it is certainly a common theme for many people who find themselves on the spiritual awakening path. And I'm a little bit nervous talking about this because it's not something that I thought I'd ever be doing a video on YouTube about, and it reminds me, I'm going to channel my inner Sex with Sue. I don't know if you're Canadian, you'll remember back in the early 80s there was a radio show with a woman called Sex with Sue who would talk about anything sex related. So I'm gonna channel her and bring in some energy to talk about this subject matter because I think it's really important. I've talked a lot about in many of my videos of surrender, letting go, and releasing attachments to certain things. And a lot of those things are associated with our lower 3 chakras. So root, sacral, and solar plexus chakra are earthbound energetics. And so any connections, therefore, to, alcohol, substances, addictions, people, and money, gambling, food, all of these types of things where control us on many levels in our lives before awakening. We use food for comfort eating, or we use sex for comfort, and we use all of these things to provide us and get certain needs met energetically. And when you go through a Kundalini awakening or a spiritual awakening, what ends up happening is these energy centers gets cleared out. I've talked a lot about the purging of energies. So with that, certain attachments that we have to the physical realm need to be broken so that the energy can move its way up into the higher realms, the higher chakras. And help us connect with spirit. And one of those, for me, started with mastery over food. And I have a food and sugar playlist, and a lot of people on their awakening find that certain foods don't work for them anymore. They have to dramatically alter their diets. Some people are pushed heavily into veganism. Some people are pushed heavily into carnivorism. So it's all what your body can tolerate. It's not decisions based from a moral point of view. It's decisions based on, literally, when I eat this can of beans, I get sick, so I can't eat beans anymore. Or this dairy gives me gas, I can't eat dairy anymore. So I myself had to give up gluten, dairy, sugar, which includes in sugar all the carbs that's associated with it. I also gave up all kinds of substances that I used to use: smoking, tobacco, cannabis, caffeine. None of these things worked for me anymore. And so as well is the energy that is the sexual energy. And if my sex drive started, I said my awakening began kind of somewhere in around 2016, before I even had that awakening. So before I had my wake-up call in 2019, I went into a deep, dark depression, dark night of the soul. I was put on antidepressants. I was overweight. I had health problems. I was in a dysfunctional marriage. And my sex drive completely went. And when I went to the doctor about it, because I didn't know I was having a spiritual awakening, I didn't know I was about to have a Kundalini, I went to the doctor and I said, listen, I don't know what's happened to my sex drive. And their answer was basically, oh, you're a woman of a certain age, which I thought was a really pitiful excuse for a medical opinion. So of course I tried, I did my research, and yes, it's a part to do with, I was put on antidepressants, and I was on antidepressants for a number of years, and that's a symptom of it. So you write it off as this, or you write it off as that. But now in retrospect, I can look back and say that my body knew and my soul knew information my mind or my ego did not. And so my body knew that I was not in the right coupling. And so my body was like, no, this isn't what I want. And I'm going to recommend out a book that I've recommended out a couple of times, which is The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel van der Kolk. And it's one that I think that you should read, because even from the aspect of sex drive, your body recognizes or knows things that perhaps you are in a state of cognitive dissonance and not seeing the connection. We don't pay enough attention to the messages and the signals that our body gives us. So that's point A, is learning to listen to body, because body is actually, I think, far more intelligent than our mind is. Mind certainly is. My body's intelligence, I tend to trust now more than my mind. My mind is a liar. My mind tells me all kinds of nonsense. It tells me worries that never are going to happen. It tells me mistruths, oh, look at you, you're so stupid, you fucked up, you did this, you did that. So it's hypercritical, it's judgmental, it's inaccurate, it has distortions, all kinds of things. So I have learned in this spiritual awakening to trust my body's impulses and my body's mechanisms over my mind. Soul has an even more information than even the body does. So soul already pre-knew that there was a soul contract written. So what is a soul contract? It is before we come down here volunteering as a light worker, as a starseed, whatever you resonate with, as an empath, as just a person, you sign a soul contract, and it's like it lists out certain things that are going to happen on certain days at certain times, and those things are certain. That's why they're called certainties. And we believe, we would like to believe that, life is all about free will, and nothing is prearranged or preordained or orchestrated. And on the spiritual awakening, you quickly realize that's not entirely true. Many things are preordained, prearranged, so that you can have certain experiences, so you can learn certain lessons, so you can correct certain karmic situations. So the family you were born into is signed into your contract. You're going to be born into this family and have these really shitty experiences. And because last time, you played the parent and you behaved like this, maybe, right? So it is quite possible. So this time you're going to experience what it is to be the child role instead of the adult role, and you're going to have all these difficult situations. And then, in 1995, you're going to randomly meet this person, and you're going to fall in love, and you're going to get married, and you're going to have 2 kids, and you're going to play out these karmic loops and these karmic patterns, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, sure, fine. But you think it's just my luck. Look, I lucked into meeting you, and it's wonderful, this, that, and the other, and it's all about free will. Yes, we have a certain degree of free will, but when there are certain things on the contract, that's an absolute. And so a lot of our situations are karmically orchestrated to clear karma, to clear it, to break it, to see things from both perspectives, because duality is one side is parent, one side is child. So now let's switch it up. and then that collapses, or this time is perpetrator and this time is victim. Okay, you played the victim last time, so I'm going to play the victim this time. So on a soul level, you're all like in cahoots, and it's kind of like coming down, and we're all just playing roles, and we're all just doing a whole bunch of stuff. But our ego is like very invested in it. And our bodies are pre-programmed with certain information that is our guidance system. It's there, that intuitive, oh, I got butterflies in my stomach when I see this person, or oh, this person like really has a chemical reaction, and this, that, and the other. So when you're in a narcissistic relationship, one flag that is useful for you to look at is, and pay attention to, is how does your body respond around this person? Whether you're married to them or not, whether you've been in a long-term relationship or not, how is your body responding to them? And listen to the body. So that's the whole point, is my body knew before my mind did that I was in a toxic situation, and my body was like, get out, escape, no. And so it shut down. So body and soul got together and had a conversation and said, let's see what we can do, because in 2.5 years, she is about to meet her twin flame, and she's going to have a kundalini, and we really need that energy reserved. So let's talk about sexual energy for a minute, because sexual energy is your most powerful energy for creation, not only creating of children. Look, it can actually create humans, but also because it has the capacity to create anything. When we have a drive, a passion, an energy, we can bring that into manifestation and bring it into creation. And so when our sex drive deteriorates down upon itself, there is nothing manifesting, nothing happening. And so in that time of my life, I was very depressed, apathetic, as I said in my last video, diagnosed with agoraphobia, as well as a million and other symptoms and disorders and diseases that was piling up like hockey cards, and so that drive, that energetic, was all being compressed and held within. When we're not releasing it through orgasm, what are we doing with it? We're holding on to it. And so then fast forward into that 2.5 years down the line, and I had a spontaneous kundalini that was a very powerful and mind-blowing experience, because all of that energy that had been compressed deep into the root chakra was now being released. But instead of being released in the carnal way of through a sex act, it was released upwards through my spine as it traveled. The kundalini traveled up, piercing all of the chakras and exiting the top of my head. So you want mind-blowing? Yes, have a spontaneous kundalini. Actually, don't try to do that. Don't try to do that. Have a nice, slow, gentle spiritual awakening instead, is my actual recommendation. But the fact is, it doesn't matter what you want or what you don't want. Ultimately, if it's in your soul contract to have a spontaneous kundalini, it's going to happen whether you want it to or not, But many people spend a large majority of their lives trying to create a kundalini through the practices of breath work, through the practices of semen retention or celibacy, through the practices of eating certain ways, yogic work, and extensive meditation to try to elicit this release. And so I wasn't practicing anything. I didn't have, again, my mind wasn't invited to the party. My mind did not know what was going on. Body knew, soul knew, mind knew nothing. Mind was spinning itself in circles. So what ends up happening is when you go through a kundalini awakening, which is how I define as a spiritual awakening on speed or steroids or something like that, the energy that is constantly in flow you want to be constantly in flow because it's clearing out. So what happens is a lot of people who are on a Kundalini awakening or a twin flame awakening find that their sex drive disappears, and that's not something that you should worry about, be overly concerned about. It's simply a redirection of that energy. So if, just like we had to master our body in relation to food, so mastery over food, we need to also have mastery over our sexual energy, so that the sexual energy can like push the Kundalini up instead of spilling it out. So yes, many men on their spiritual awakening paths find that they go through a period of time where they practice semen retention, and women don't have the same, but they may find that their sex drive or their desire to go and date depletes down, and they would rather be focused on self and focused on their own spiritual work, as opposed to focusing on the carnal pleasures. So a lot of a spiritual awakening is letting go of the attachments, as I said, of those original 3D matrix root chakras of money, sex, foods, gambling, shopping, exercise, and if you're constantly exercising, and relationship, partnership, all of these types of things, so that all that energy that we were putting in, because you can think of these as all like cords or attachments, as well as the fact, so point 3 in regards to celibacy is you're going through a purification process. So who you share your energetics with, you become highly picky and highly understanding. And I've heard it described before as like having sex is like plugging your phone into somebody else's computer and then downloading all of whatever they have. So energetically, it's like an exchange of information. And so while you're going through a purification process, your body may not want to take on new information because it's busy dealing with everything that's trying to purify out of this. So if your phone, we'll keep using the phone as an example, if your phone is doing like an upgrading itself, it's not the time when you plug into a port and try to listen to music. You can't do two things at the same time when it's trying to upgrade. So we're going through our own energetic upgrade process, and so in this, I want to make sure that I'm not making the job harder for the Kundalini. I don't want to slow it down in any way, shape, or form. It's already taken so many years of my life. When it is time, when the right situation comes in, when the right energy comes in, I know that my body will be like, yeah, that's the one. You'll get the tingles again. I guess today's video is really just about letting you know that if you are going through Kundalini awakening, whether it be initiated from a twin flame situationship or not, and you're trying to force a relationship and your body is saying no, or you're in a long-term relationship and your body is saying no, these are all signs that your body is trying to communicate, and none of this is from a perspective of a moral judgment or a religious judgment. There is no judgment. It's simply being in such a great connection to body, mind, soul, that you're listening to all aspects of self as a whole and coming into a greater degree of wholeness, and loving self and kindness for self, and not trying to be something that you're not, or not trying to be in something that you're not, or but I understand there is a lot of belief that I should be in a relationship, or I should be this, or I should be that. So if you're shoulding yourself, stop that. Yeah, we're letting go of all those types of things, and realizing that what is destined will be divinely orchestrated for you, just like everything else has been leading up to these points. So start listening really hard to your body. Listen to it when it communicates to you pleasures, as well as when it communicates to you no thanks. Because those no thankses aren't a disorder. There's nothing wrong with you. It is simply a matter of being in alignment with body, mind, and soul. And that said, peace out.